Welcome to Gemara Academy. In this class, we will learn Tosfos Dibra Maschel, P'turi da Asil Dechi of Chatas. Let's begin. P'turi da Asil Dechi of Chatas. The Gemara explained that although when we look at the Mishnah, there's a total of 12 cases, the Tana only says that there are 8 cases. And the reason is because he's only counting the cases where there's an actual Chi of Chatas and the Asr cases that bring to a Chi of Chatas. However, we're not counting the cases that are Asr and do not bring to a Chi of Chatas. Says Tosfos, Masha Pirish Rashi. This that Rashi explains, the Akiris Kachashiv, that it's counting the cases of Akiris. What does it mean? An Issa that brings to a Chi of Chatas. It's referring to the Akira, because the person who did the Akira, he's the one that could come to a Chi of Chatas. Since he started the Malacha, he could come to finish it. So we're only counting the cases where the person started the Malacha. However, we're not counting the cases where the other individual started the Malacha, and this person only finished it, since he can never come through that to a Chi of Chatas. Says Tosfos, Einein Nira L'Ri. This doesn't seem correct to the Ri to say that Asil de Chi of Chatas is the one that did the Akira, for 3 reasons. Chada, number 1, the Akira B'lei Heitzah, when somebody lifts something up without doing any Heitzah, Rashi is saying that that's an Isser, the Asil de Chi of Chatas. Says Tosfos, Einei Ela Total Ba'am, it's only Total. He's only lifting it up. Tosfos is not saying that it's okay, because he did put it into the person's extended hand, but it's not a case of Heitzah or Hachnasa. It's only lifting up the item. There's no issue of Chi of Chatas whatsoever. He barely touched the malacha of Eitzah. And furthermore, the Lepirisha Kuntris Kachashiv L'Balabayis Gimel Yitzias. According to Rashi's explanation, the Mishnah accounts for the Balabayis 3 Yitzias, V'Achnasa Achas, and one Achnasa, one carrying in. We don't have 2 cases of Eitzah and 2 of Achnasa for the Balabayis, and the same for the Ani. Rather, we have for the Balabayis 3 cases of Eitzah and 1 of Achnasa. Let's see how. We have with the Balabayis did all 3 parts of the Eitzah. The Akira, the taking out, and the Anocha. Then another case is when he did the Akira and he extended his hand out. And then the last case of it is when he just lifted it up. Under Achnasa, we only have 1 case where he did the whole malacha of Achnasa. Ula'ani, and for the poor man, Gimel Achnasas, we have 3 cases of Achnasa, Vaitzah Achas, and only 1 case of Vaitzah. Where do we have 3 Achnasas? When he did all 3 parts of the malacha, Akira, bringing it in, and Anocha. Then when he did the first part, 2 parts, Akira and extending his hand inwards. And then when he just did just the first part, the Akira. So we have 3 cases where he was doing part of the achnasa or the whole achnasa, and only 1 case of itzah where he did the whole thing on his own. And it would make more sense if it was divided 2 and 2 for each. And furthermore, the leichashiv tarti leptur the ani ba'achas v'the asher ba'achas. Furthermore, the leichashiv, it's not counting in the Mishnah tarti leptur the ani, the 2 of the potter cases of the ani ba'achas in 1 section, v'the asher ba'achas, and the 2 of the asher in 1 section. In other words, it's mixing together the case of an ani and an usher, and then it's mixing together another case of the ani together with the usher. It's not putting them separately the way he does it in the Reisha. The Reisha first represent the 2 cases of the ani. Either the ani does Achnasa or Eitzah. Then we present the 2 cases of the usher or the Balabayis, where he does Eitzah or Achnasa. But in the Sefer, according to Rashi, we end up mixing 1 case of the ani together with the case of the usher. How do we see that? Because the cases in the Sefer are if the ani lifted his hand up and extended it inwards with an item, and the Balabayis put it down. That's a case of the ani. Or if the Balabayis put something into this hand, and the ani took it out. That's a case of the Balabayis. The first case, the ani did the Akira. And that's what we're looking at, and extended his hand inwards, a case for the ani. In the second case, the Balabayis put something into this extended hand, the Balabayis did the Akira. So a case for the Balabayis, we end up mixing them together. So for these 3 reasons, Tosfos doesn't like the explanation of Rashi. Mefarish Miva and Miva explains the Asul de Chi of Chatas that brings to a Chi of Chatas, the Isser that brings to a Chi of Chatas. Hainu, this is Oisei Shepoishet Asyate, the one that extends his hand, Umachnis, and either brings the item into Rishus HaYachid, Oimoitzio, or takes it out to Rishus HaRabim. The Kavaseb above the Reisha Chai of Chatas, because similar to it in the Reisha is Chai of Chatas. In other words, Tosfos says that the Malacha of Heitzah or in Achnasa is the person that's transferring it from one Rishus to the other. The detail of Akira and Anacha, those are details that are necessary to make it Chayiv, but there's side details. The actual Malacha of Eitzah and Achnasa is the moving of an item from one Rishus to another Rishus. V'hacha pater, and over here it's going to be pater, even though the person transferred the Rishus. L'fishalei also kala Malacha, since he didn't do the entire Malacha, shechisim mimena ma'at, he was missing from it a little bit. Oya Akira, or he didn't do the Akira. Oya Anacha, he was missing the Anacha. So therefore, this is the way that Tosfos learns it, and this answers all 3 questions. Number 1, it's not just an Akira. He actually transferred Rishuyas. Number 2, each individual has 2 Achnasas and 2 Eitzahs. Let's just look at the Ani, and it's understood for the Usher as well. The Ani has the case where he did the whole Eitzah, the whole Achnasa he carried into Rishus HaYachid, and then we have the other case for the Ani where he lifted it up and extended his hand inwards. So he did the extending. So he has another case of Achnasa, and then he has 2 cases of Eitzah. Either he brought the item out entirely on his own, or when his hand was extended inwards, The Balabayas placed something into it and he took it out. So we have another case of Eitzah, and the same for the Balabayas. And then the third question is that he mixes them together. According to Tosfos, the cases are not mixed together, because the two cases in the Sefer are that are put together at first is if the Ani lifted up his hand with an item and extended it inwards, that's the case of the Ani. Or he had an empty hand like that, and the Balabayas placed something in it, and the Ani took the hand out. Once again, another case of the Ani. Now Tosfos brings a proof to this explanation. Vehevi Raya Mirushalmi. He brings a raya to his explanation from the Yerushalmi. The Ka'amr, it says in the Yerushalmi, the Yerushalmi explains that the only cases counted in the Sefer, we say Asil de Chiyuv Chatos. The Yerushalmi says the ones that correspond to the Chiyuv. Since it's only taking the corresponding cases, it's only counting the Pater case, that the same of it, Shekenegde, the one that's opposite it, is Chayiv L'mayla, is Chayiv above in the Mishnah, above the duration of the first section. And he explains, and look how we see that it has to do on the one that extends his hand. Going, for example, Pashat Ani Yasiyadi Lifnim, in the case where the Ani extended his hand inwards and then put it down, he did the whole malacha of Achnasa. The Ketani, it says Ani Chayav. What's the corresponding case to that? P'tura de Deichash, if it counts the corresponding case to that one, the Bava the Sefer in the second half of the Mishnah, the Pashat Ani Yasiyadi Lifnim, when the Ani extended his hand inwards. So we see that the focus is extending of the hand. And the same thing for Balabayas. What corresponds to the Balabayas doing Haitzah when he extends his hand?